Good morning and welcome. This is Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Udraka Mimo. County and national government representatives and a host of other delegates will gather in Naivasha next week for the 4th annual Devolution Conference. This year's gathering is all the more significant because it's taking place during an election year and will be the last Devolution Conference to be organized by the current pioneer group of governors. The theme they've chosen this year is Devolution, Transforming Lives, Tell Your Story. And so before I introduce our guests, I'd like to ask you to tell us on Cheche how devolution has changed your life. Use the hashtag Cheche, which is on Twitter, and if you want to text us, the number is 22422. So to our guests now, starting with Bomet County Governor Isaac Ruto. He's the former chairman of the Council of Governors, which organizes the Devolution Conference. We should have with us Kajiado Senator Peter Ole Mositet. He'll join us when he comes in. As always, we have panelists Mutegi Njau and Charles Obiambo with us. So gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
Governor Ruto, I'll start with you because this is the 4th conference. What is this conference going to achieve?
The conference, like all other conferences, are meant to highlight on devolution and specifically its benefits to the people of Kenya, and so that we are also able to share the best experiences and the best practices with other counties, and for us to be able to learn more. We also open up for the public to view and scrutinize and even critique our performance so that it can help us to improve moving forward. Devolution is a very central aspect of the new constitution, and since it is being implemented without any past experience, it is important that we continually expose it for debate.
Do you foresee a situation where this conference becomes obsolete?
I don't think so. It hasn't become obsolete in America 200 years down the line. They continue to have those devolution conferences every year, and they move year to year, and there are always new things and new ideas to share. If America has continued to have a similar thing 200 years down the line, there's no way it can become obsolete.
So if you're talking about transforming lives, asking people to tell their stories, what are you hoping to accomplish, given that this is an election year and the final conference that your set of governors is organizing?
It will help us to also have a look at how it has impacted on the lives of Kenyans and whether there has been any major benefit to the ordinary folk. Remember, devolution is basically meant for those living within the counties and how it impacts on the growth of the economy now when it is aggregated countrywide. Therefore, transforming lives. For instance, new employment opportunities have arisen in the counties. The counties are able to focus on things like agriculture much more closely. We are able to focus on several other new things, including youth activities, women activities, activities at the very local level. This is now what is transforming lives.
In your own county, Bomet,
yes.
What would you highlight as a major success? What has transformed the people of Bomet?
Yeah, the major success in Bomet has been agriculture or agribusiness. We are able now to move a little bit forward in terms of, for example, developing the milk sector that actually delivers cash to the household, because we want to focus more on household incomes in the rural areas, and then also ensuring that we've got more accessible roads. We also have focused on delivery of water and also healthcare. That is what we have basically focused on. We have had challenges in terms of resources. We've not been able to do as much as we would have liked to do because of serious challenges which we've continued to highlight over the years.
Talking about agriculture itself, what I hear from the county is that extension services have died. There are no more. People are not advised what to do. The farmers are not. They don't see anybody talking to them.
I don't know where you are getting that idea from, because in the first place, we've now reintroduced those extraneous services. They were not in existence before. They had actually stopped. There was a policy that had been developed by the Ministry of Agriculture of the national government called demand driven, that unless you go and call an extension officer, he will not come. Secondly, you would have to provide fuel for them. That is no longer the case.
In the case of this conference, like you mentioned earlier, it's about benchmarking, learning lessons, carrying it forward. Now this is the 4th edition. What would you say are the take-homes from the first to the second to the third to the 4th that we are going to, given that at one time you were the chair of this group of people?
Yeah, you mean, we don't have specific programs as a Council of Governors to implement. What we do is to report on activities at the counties, and for counties to showcase what they have done. And we normally have the CRA doing quite a bit of roundup. Commission of Revenue Allocation, to do a roundup of highlighted developmental activities. For example, in the first year, one thing we celebrated was the performance of cesarean deliveries, for example, in Mandera, which were fasts, which meant that there was now a move towards giving health care much more available, to be much more available, closer to the ordinary Kenyans. And that one was both a celebration and a serious reflection on our failures in the past. For instance, if we have not been able to deliver on cesarean deliveries in the past for 50 years, that was a reminder that very many women and children have died because of our failures to do just that. So those are some of the things that we keep on reminding ourselves at every. There are new things coming up every year on what we've been able to do. For example, other counties have been able to do tarmac roads within the county, in spite of the fact that it remains a national government function.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Apparently, most people, or a number of people, this is an empirical, there are no statistics, but yes, when you walk and talk to people across the street, they tell you the evolution has brought it with it devolved corruption. Have you tackled this in any of the 4 conferences?
Yes, we continue to tackle, but there are also institutions of oversight that are supposed to do just that. And it's not just in the counties, it is in the entire republic. Of course, there will be certain ills that will develop moving forward, because human behavior is what it is, and there is little we can really do to completely eradicate it. But there must be a continuous fight for it. But nevertheless, a lot of it has had to do with also propaganda being waged on the counties. So that
propaganda by whom?
By the anti-devolutionists.
Such as?
Anti-devolutionists. Like have been seen in the national government structure. They would come up with a lot of propaganda that actually are not empirical, just like my friend has said. The only issue we will wait to hear is from the institutions that have the technical capacity to actually decipher whether there is any truth in those allegations.
In today's press, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has listed a number of governors who they are suggesting they are going to be prosecuted or in the process of being prosecuted, and therefore suggesting that these governors should not be allowed to contest. What's your view about that?
Those are just statements. First of all, EACC has no capacity, has no authority to bar anyone from contesting any seat. The Constitution is very clear on how those things are done, and I don't think those statements in the newspapers, that's just stories on the headlines.
Of course, as an agency in charge of fighting corruption, they have the authority and the mandate to investigate,
yes,
and do a report. Yes. Should they do such a report? I think that's what Mutegi is asking.
They should proceed to court. That's where they should be headed to. But they cannot tell us that these ones will not contest elections. That is not their mandate completely. That is just very erroneous. And an institution of that nature should understand the law, and they should be careful about the statements they make, because they confuse Kenyans that they can actually arrogate themselves powers they do not have.
It's a shame that we don't have the senator from Kajiado with us, because we're hoping to get different perspectives on devolution from a governor and from a senator. But senators were in the past quoted as saying that the devolution conference was a platform for governors to massage their egos. And listening to you speak, you know, when you talk about, when you outsource the responsibility for corruption to institutions, when you talk about you know, people being allowed to contest, you know, regardless of the integrity questions surrounding them, it does sound as if you're more concerned with your egos.
Well, I'm just making a statement of fact as per the Constitution, that the EACC has no authority to talk about elections.
When you said the fact that the last conference in Meru, the senators boycotted.
Yes, we have had a problem with the senators.
And they're supposed to supervise you.
Not to supervise that in the conference. They come to oversight at the conference. We invite the senators, and every time we've invited the senators, they start telling us about protocol issues which we do not understand. Well, they have been invited to our conference, and a lot of them just choose not to come. You've even seen national government boycotting coming there. What is the issue? What exactly is the issue?
Well, you tell us, because apart from the boycott in Meru, even with the first devolution conference in Kwale, there was a problem. The second one, there was a problem. And part of the problem has been they feel that they're excluded, given that they are part of the county infrastructure.
When you are invited, are you excluded? We've invited them to come. And
at
they
what
don't
point do you invite them?
We have even participated.
Them in the planning?
They have even confirmed their arrival. They have even we've booked space for them, and then they just don't show up.
Do you think it's just
what
enough
has
to
been happening
them?
is that there were times, for instance, they were saying at one time that we cannot come because you've gone to court to challenge our jurisdiction on certain matters. Now the question is, Kenyans are entitled to go to court. This is when
you and several other governors were asked to come and explain yourselves before Senate committees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So what is their reaction? Should they boycott just because we went to court? I thought the courts are the places where all Kenyans go to have a matter where they have a different opinion resolved. So do you boycott your activities just because someone has gone to court? Those are the questions we would ask, and I wish the senator was here.
So some of the issues that you invite them there just to be there. They are not in the program.
They are in the program, and we even ask them to chair a number of panels. They are supposed to give presentations. Right.
So this time around, is all of that addressed? Are they participating?
Are they coming to Naivasha?
I believe they will be participating. We've invited them yet again, and we expect them to come.
Did you involve them in the planning?
Yes.
I'm wondering, Mheshimiwa Governor, there has been a school of thought that the chief executive of an institution should be the one to streamline issues like corruption and all the rest. And people have been putting pressure on President Uhuru Kenyatta that if there's corruption in the national government, you should take responsibility. Now you are here telling us, as governors, that is not your forte. There is EACC who should handle that.
No, what do you mean? I said EACC, their responsibility is to investigate and possibly proceed to court. I did not say EACC should handle, and I did not say that the chief executive...
no, I'm saying a school of thought, not really you.
Yeah, the CEOs of every institution have a responsibility to ensure that things are happening, and they are happening right. And the issue we were asking...
what is the CEO's responsibility where there are allegations of corruption?
His responsibility is... for example, he's supposed to direct and ensure as a first line manager, as the main manager, the responsibility is on him to try and ensure that corruption does not exist within his institution. But you see, the law also gives accounting to the accounting officer. For example, you will not be present in every department every minute. And the accounting officer is supposed to answer on those questions. He's the one who authorizes. And there's somebody also called who has the authority to incur expenditure, and they also have accountants. We've got procurement officers. Each one is also answerable personally for what he does if he does not follow the law.
And a few weeks ago, Governor Mutua was here, gave us an example of his own staff who are becoming a hindrance. They are getting corrupt. And he was, in fact, saying that he had to supervise them and tell them, do this and follow up and make sure they've done it.
Yes.
Now you are saying you leave it to them.
No, you have not said. I don't know where you are getting that point of view. I say the responsibility still rests on the one who is perpetrating it personally. But supervisory responsibilities equally remain with the chief executive.
So should there be corruption in Bomet County, say for example, the Department of Health, who should be asked questions? Who should be taken to court? Is it the governor? Is it the CEC? Is it the chief officer?
The actual, you know, for example, procurement goes through a process. If you say you should advertise, and the law says you advertise on this threshold, that responsibility is bestowed on the executioner of that activity. The overall responsibility in terms of he should have noticed that somebody is not doing it right would go into the chief executive. That is supervisory. That is supervisory, but it is not at the is not committing it as a person, but the committing the offense is on the person doing it.
In your own case in Bomet, have you ever had occasion to deal with corrupt officers whom you disciplined?
Yes, we've had to
give us a glimpse of what happened.
I don't think it is appropriate to
were they sacked? Were they
well, you're not mentioning
were they taken to court?
We've sacked some, we've taken others to court. But I wouldn't want to start peddling names on national.
We are not suggesting names. We say, for instance,
yes,
I found an officer doing delaying payment. We did this and this. This is what happened. This is what I did.
Not just even that. We've found situations where even procurement for tires for my own car was multiplied. For example, instead of buying it for 20,000, somebody would buy it for 40,000. We took disciplinary action on such a person, and we tried to find out which other tires he had purchased at higher prices. But I just got interested when I was told these tires for your car actually costed 40,000. Then I asked them, but when I buy for my own car, I buy them for 20,000. How comes when the county is buying, it costs 40,000? So we were able to take immediate disciplinary action on that officer, and actually took him all the way to court. So because we cannot tolerate that type of nonsense.
So you had a Children's Devolution Conference for the first time.
Yes.
What came out of that?
You know, this is a sensitization process, and we believe the aspects of devolution should be understood far and wide. And remember that children need to understand this, because children are on a transitory stage. In a matter of 2, 3, 4, 10 years, they are on the scene doing the practicals themselves. Therefore, we believe that children's devolution conferences are essential. They need to understand this thing, and they will also help us kusambasa mambo. Remember also that the parents are very close to the children, and they like to know what was it that they learned. We believe that this is very essential for the future, and we continue to inculcate that particular the concepts around devolution, and also to ensure that it succeeds for the future, and it is continues to be improved.
So this is primary and secondary school students?
Yes.
University students, have you reached out to them?
We will be doing that in due course, but we are developing capacities moving forward.
In all honesty, before you even get to the children, do you think the average Kenyan understands devolution as it is now?
We still have challenges. Getting devolution to be understood hasn't quite been successful.
Why not?
There was a generation that kept pushing for devolution, and all of a sudden these particular debates have gone to the back, and there's a lot of competition for power instead. For example, institutions that are supposed to drive devolution, the Senate, for example, hasn't been quite proactive. In my own view, it's subjective as you may want to say, but in my own view, we've not done enough to inculcate devolution in the minds of Kenyans. And we keep on simply referring to devolution as the governor. Those fellows, the MCS, we keep trivializing the issues that we expected to solve through devolution. And we forget about the fact of devolving both resources, the power to use those resources, and the need to ensure that there is success in that effect, and that this was meant to spur economic activities at the rural level.
How much responsibility does the Council of Governors take for that situation, given that, as Charles earlier pointed out, it's a question of devolved corruption, and so there's a sense of apathy because everything that we have seen, the ills that we have seen at the national level, have just been brought closer to the people.
And what is that? Is it on the devolution concept? Is the corruption part of the devolution concept, or it is a culture that Kenyans have to honor? I don't think it has anything to do with the devolution itself. Devolution was not meant to devolve the ills. We never talked about devolving the ills. The ills are supposed to be addressed as a separate problem, as a separate disease that is ailing the Kenyan fabric. But I think we should not mix devolution with the ills. If you mix devolution with the ills, then you would be saying the churches are full of sinners because they go to church and they go there to repent. Therefore, it is full of sinners. There was a sinner today in church. Therefore, we should not be going to churches because there are sinners there. The point here is, let us look at the concept of devolution. And rural Kenya requires development. Right now, even though we brought in devolution, it was brought in with very little resources. We are not addressing issues that are impacting heavily on the people. Like we are noting now that overall the household incomes are still not rising. That it needs much more effort to continue to raise the household incomes, in spite of the devolution that we've done, that it has been half-hearted, or very little of it is actually happening, and that whenever resources are discussed, they bring in these issues of corruption, they bring in side issues, and yet actually we need to address how Kenyans will be able to develop their incomes, to be able to meet their basic needs. School fees is a serious issue right now in rural Kenya. The question of clean water, the question of proper roads, the question of access to education and health care. These are very serious issues that are of primary concern to the people living.
When ordinary Kenyans see the lifestyle of a governor, deputy governor, those MCAs,
and the people around them,
and the people them, they say devolution has come because of you, the way you see with your motorcade. But as you said, there is nothing in the stomach, there is nothing to eat at home. But your lifestyle is extremely lavish.
Why are
you live like a president?
Can you check again? Is devolution about the governor and the MCA?
No. As far as what people are seeing on the ground is concerned, you are right in saying people's lives haven't changed as they should. But you realize the people around the governor...
The challenge there is that when we started on devolution, we looked at it all the way from Bomas, and we were talking about threshold of about 40%. These are the international standards of devolved resources. We were supposed to ensure that the Constitution talks about resources follow functions. As of now, resources don't follow functions.
Okay, so you're not quite answering the question, but I'll give Mutegi and Charles to press the point after this break. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. How has devolution changed your life? Talk to us on SMS number 22422 or on Twitter. The hashtag is Cheche.